Hey my people, what's going on? This is Major TV. I'm with a part 2 on my observation and critique of Grandmaster J, the man, the message, and movement. I had to get to this point because I won't lie. There was times when I couldn't listen to. I listened to some of the factual, feeling, and monumental, but sometimes it became too religious, and I didn't really enjoy the Baptist type imitation of a black preacher, right? But I understand he's comical like me, and I understand there's times when you gotta break the ice and make people laugh, or relax, because you're dropping heavy stuff on them. But to get to where I'm going at. And I'm gonna have proof. I'm gonna let y'all listen to some audio, well, not audio, videos of the people that I had flashed when the black historians I spoke about, like Dr. John G. Jackson. I'm gonna even have my man he spoke about, and I'm gonna get to that. Dr. Chancellor Williams, Destruction of Black Civilization, which I read that book many years ago. You know what I'm saying? Powerful book, and he was definitely credited for a lot of his work. That wasn't even completion work. He had like a 3-volume he wanted to do, but he only had to do one because his eyes and stuff went bad on him and whatnot. And I'm gonna drop the links in the description. You can see all this on YouTube, right? I had a problem with Grandmaster J talking about religion, especially when he spoke about the Book of Enoch. And he spoke about the laws. He spoke about the Nephilim, the Great Pyramids, and the Nephilims and whatnot. And the book is by Patrick Heron, a white Irish Christian, right? And we're gonna get to that, right? But I don't want to just jump straight into it. Let me digress for a second, get a sip. So, I'm going to share clips of it. I'm going to show you a picture. I had a picture of the book. And by the way, I did purchase the book. So, my iPad. I purchased the book. So, I will let you know I did look at the book. It's not like I'm tripping. I read what have, And that's what I do. See, like when he was running and go look at this book, read the book. Go do this. When Grandmaster J was saying, go buy this book and go do this. Chancellor Williams. I already read Chancellor Williams. I got the audio thing too, right? But to make a long story short, I'll be on it, right? That's one thing Malcolm X said that we should never forget. And he said something to young people. He said young people need to read, research, and find out for themselves and not believe everything adults and people tell them. So, that when my critical thinking was coming in, right? But I just want to share the book, right? Just cause nowadays it's high tech, so I got the Kindle, so I mean books and everything. Books can definitely take up a lot of room. But I do have a small little library and what have you. But it's the book. Let me go right here. I'm just gonna bring you the book. It's the book right here. So let me go back to the page. We'll come back to that. This the book right here, y'all. I have the book. I have the book. If you see down here, you got the pages and all that on there. I'm not gonna see the pages and what have you, but you just can. I just scroll through this book. So I have the book, right? So I'll let you know. So I got Kindle. I have the book, right? I looked at it. Well, I can do this while I was gonna flash his face, but no, I'm gonna do that. I don't want to get sidetracked doing that, right? And what I meant was I didn't want to just put him right now. I'm gonna just flash across the live feed as I'm talking, where y'all can see him. He's a white man, white Christian. And it's a contradiction, right, for Grandmaster J to speak about destruction of black civilization when at the same breath he brings up this book right here. And one second, all right, I want to be there. Sometimes I get caught in thought. I want to pronounce this correctly, right? And I know y'all working with me, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. Y'all be patient with me. Y'all deal with me. I just want to see that. The Nephilim and the Pyramid and the Apocalypse. Now, I'm about to bring it to context. Again, and let me say this before I leave. Let me say this before I go in. We have to de-brainwash ourselves, decolonize ourselves. What do you mean, man? What the hell you mean? Everything we have been taught, right? We gotta put it aside. Like when you about to get a massage, they say just relax, just let it go, just relax. Well, I'm telling you, relax, but push all that you was taught, right? You was taught, push it out your head, right? The reason why the slave, they won't leave the plantation because the stuff they're putting in the head, the fear and whatnot, what was given to him, right, as a way of life. Even though he was being mistreated, he would not go against the master or try to escape. And there are a lot of slaves like that because he was brainwashed, right? And I don't want to go off and all that because I'm going to go somewhere else with it. Well, anyway, it's a contradiction, right, to all the great black stories I spoke about. Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, Dr. Chia Anthony Diop, Dr. Chancellor Williams, Dr. John D. Jackson, and others, right? And when you put this book, right, against all these great books, Origins out from Civilization, right? Destruction of Black Civilization, Christ, which you want to see that book from John D. Jackson, he's going to be in there with all your Christianity before Christ, right? You have these books out here, right? And these black historians that went out the way to dispel a myth. Because for a very long time, white people never wanted to give Africa no credit of contributing to civilization. Anthony T. Browder years later came out with Nile Valley Contribution to Civilization, which has been out for a minute now, you know, because I read it, I don't know, about 15, 20 years ago. But it wasn't before Chancellor Williams' books, right? And he explained all this, right? So you have black historians, people that have been taught under the European Western way, right, about history, but then they had to turn around and get degrees in anthropology, ecologists, geologists, you know, all kinds of different degrees and special fields to learn how to unearth stuff, right? I mean, they look at the Sphinx where they was carving the Sphinx nose permanently because it was round and flat, right? But when Greece and Rome, they was messing with the Sphinx and statues, they was altering and all. They was doing all kind of stuff, right, to make the statues look like them, you know? Just like when they were destroying the strobes and whatnot. The philosopher, Aristotle was like, you don't do that, don't destroy the strobes and try to destroy the Alexandria Library, right? And people don't even realize, really, Egypt is the the daughter of Ethiopia. Ethiopia was great. You know, it's just so much we can talk about. Like, and we don't understand what's going on. I'm gonna drop it on y'all, right? I'm gonna just go straight to it. This book here, The Nephilim and the Pyramid of the Apocalypse, is an example of what white people been doing for so long. Is discrediting black people, they don't want to believe that we was able to create them pyramids, right? Be the first builder of stones, to be so precise, how we could pick up them heavy stones and carve it and chisel, carve it and chisel it to precision, right? How we can line up with the stars and the moon and whatnot. How we there to do the calendar and the 365, days. We created all that, the calendar, like the time and whatnot, the days. I mean, all that come out after, right? But they didn't want to. It's like the white folks knew, right? Because all the invasions, Asians, Romans, Arabs, right? They was the only ones that capitalized on snatching all that stuff, right? You got stuff in brick museums, old ancient artifacts, right? That belong to Africa's ancient, and scrolls and everything, right? Is in brick museums, right? So I said to say this here, they've been knowing, right? Years later, that when they brought it to the world at this point, after, because of, like I was saying in the last video, I gotta expand a little more. Because of famine, you know what I'm saying? Lakes and rivers drying out, desert. Well, they had land where you can crop and what have you, you can survive all, but they had the desert and all that, right? The climate situation, the heat and all that, right? And then you had the infighting with the chiefs and tribes, you know what I'm saying? And I'm coming out of the dynasties, right? Of Egypt dynasty, Ethiopian dynasty, you know what I'm saying? It's a damn dynasty. And the funny part, I learned, right, that this big continent, right, they desired to break it up in countries, right, where they created different languages and what have you, right? But Chancellor, will you explain it better? I'm not gonna try to be a historian. I'm not. I'm just a brother that just want to know, you know what I'm saying? And I'm pissed off because they lied to me. So make a long story short, right? These brothers wanted to expose all the stuff that Rome, Greece put out there on Europe, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of these, and Chancellor wouldn't talk about that. These white scholars, historians, different experts or whatever you want to call it, science, whatever, they want the way to perpetuate a lie, right? And the reason why I'm saying that, because this book talking about angels fall in the sky and what have you, and they have a sex with black women and they created giants. To concoct, this is a story concoct, right? And said they was able to build a pyramid because why? White folks and no one ever figured out how in the hell they was able to build that or those pyramids. Pyramids of Gaza right here, y'all. How they was able to do that. They could never figure it out, right? So he wait now and say, well, after all these people look over there, you want to go over to the Bible, right? And this is what we have a problem with. And I have a problem with Grandmaster J and a lot of these brothers with the Moors and Hebrew and all this stuff here. And I know y'all gonna get mad with me because I know how we think, whether we Christian, Muslim, Hebrew, whatever, Jew, I don't care. We think a certain kind of way. And we don't understand what's going on, right? So let me say this. Patrick Heron went so far as doing like all the rest of them do. It's what? Dispute the greatness in Africa. They could not build the pyramids, right? That's the hardest thing they couldn't dispute. Well, they couldn't dispute. They were able to hide so much of stuff, right? We forgot. We got dummied down, right? Throughout the years, as they kept invading, and we fighting with them, right? Until eventually they went to subduing Africa. Some of us led all up into the 20th century before we got subdued. But the problem is this. They couldn't really cover up the pyramid thing, right? They couldn't. So what they did was, interracial, They call it miscegenation. I'm gonna put that in there when white and blacks mix and make, you know, babies and whatever. And all that light stuff, you see the Arabs and other people, whatever, that was race mixing. But I don't talk about the Arab. I'm talking about just European, because the Arabs were just worse. They were just as worse or worse, right? Because really a lot, they come out dark ages, you know what I'm saying? When Europe come out dark ages, they really copied off of what the Arabs did to Africans and whatnot. Like, but to make a long story short, right? I gotta get to it. This white man was Christian, Irish Christian. He did the same thing that everybody did. He was trying to dispel the fact that black people were not able to figure out those pyramids or creating them without a fallen angel. And I'm gonna get to all that in a little bit. Look, whites they've been perpetuating this lie, and the scholars are perpetuating the lie until over the last, I don't know, 20, 30 years, blacks went to, probably be a little longer, blacks went to confront them about it, right? I told y'all earlier in one of my videos about, they were saying the first old fossils and bones of the human was in Europe, but actually Britain, right? They called them Iceman or something, but it actually was found in Africa, right? And I told you about the glacier periods, right? Whereas heavy snowstorm, whatever, that you couldn't even have, nobody could habitate or live on the land, right? And then another contradiction how they show where it was a lie was that Africa had been around for thousands years before Europe was even developed, right? It was so underdeveloped, you couldn't even live on there. What happened? You had these glacier periods, you know what I'm saying? And we had to deal with that, right? But they've been perpetuating the lie. They said Rome this, Rome that. Rome created writing, the legal system, democracy, early civilization, medicine, science, whatever. Everything gonna say Rome. Everything's Rome definition. I gotta look up stuff with Rome. Let me find something. No, I got time. That's what it said. But I'm just gonna say, look up words. You're gonna see a lot of Rome, Latin, and stuff like that, right? But the early, we originated writing, math, astrology, science, medicine, builders of stone, which he's contradicting, right? The light you can't see. He's contradicting intentionally, because we trying to associate black with a fallen angel, right? That we getting screwed. Now, let's bring everything in context, right? And I'm talking about John Henry Clark, Dr. John Henry Clark. I'm calling all doctors now. Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. John G. Jackson, Dr. Chancellor Williams, Dr. Chia and Dia, Dr. Ben. I'm gonna tell you what they say, but I'm gonna see videos, right? Of two people for sure, Chancellor and John. Look, white people at the time was not, I'm gonna let them say it, because people might take it offensive, but they was really dumb. They didn't really understand a lot of things, right? They didn't. And see, HDI, he break down the brain at the time, how small the brain was versus years later how big the brain was. It goes deep, and I'm like I said, I play slides. No, that's down the line. I gotta wait till I set the class with it. And right now, I'm just flowing. I'm on my ish. But I'm gonna just get to where I'm trying to get at right now. I'm stop playing around. I gotta bring it in context, y'all. So if you had white people, you had like all your white writers in Europe, in the Western Hemisphere, in Europe, whatnot. You know what I'm saying? They've been dispelling anything that was originally created from Africa, that Africa civilized Greece, Rome. Africa was the first civilization that was a creator of almost everything, right? That without Africa, because that's why they invaded Africa, they was Africans. Remember that Bono, they kicked that Bono out, they were scared, that was a curse. Then you had some that just wanted to explore. Before you had the Christopher Columbus, you were Africans that was exploring the world, right? And you had some Africans that got lost, right? And didn't know how to come back, you know. Now some Africans did. South America, North America, Caribbeans, Asia, the Europe cave or Europe caves. We know how to build ships. We build ships. Y'all know we build ships. I forgot that we build ships. We did pottery. We did oars and perfect. We did all that. We was hustlers. We was actually building stuff. This fishermen, we did all that. You know, these was businesses. There was a lot of commercial stuff like Grandmaster did. There was a lot of trade in Africa. That's why other Africans coming back in the name of Romans. Africans come back in the name of Asians. Africans come back in the name of Rome, and Arabs. And so I wanted to say something. I was talking to my friend Joe in my last video when he told me looking at the geographic of these dog, Japanese, Mexicans, Chinese, Jews, European, Israel. He was saying that that's how the white folks played the color game, right? Light is right, black is whack. Black is evil, right? I just say the whack. Black is evil. White is right, black is evil. And then you got miscegenation. I'm killing that word, but I like it though. I just can't pronounce it too good. But white and black making different babies. As we're looking at, and you gotta realize they top. This I want to. Every name that's named as from European name, all these countries in Africa and Raleigh, these Europeans named everything. We don't realize the influence they got, right? And to make a long story short, I don't care China, I don't care what the beef of the United States, China, South America, Africa, North America, Caribbeans, they play the color game. The light-skinned, or the mulattoes, they created a interracial, I forgot to say, mulattoes, right? The light-skinned people. I hope you ain't talking about me, man. I ain't that like that. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. Don't mess with me, y'all. People got caught up. They was kidnapped. Anyway, make a long story short. They use the psychological game of saying that white people are better. Light skin. That's why you hear white Jews, white Mexicans, you know. You don't really hear white Chinese, but come on now. If you got a bunch of black Chinese, you never see them. You have a bunch of Mexicans, you never see them. You always see light-skinned politicians on TV, singers. Come on, man. There's this black sister I forgot on the Love Hip Hop, the Big Bush. She was talking about the racism with colorism. She was saying colorism. That's the word they use, right? So we gotta bring all this in context. What I'm saying. So let me see this. These books that these black historians expose, the lies, the trickery, the deception, the misinformation that they made us think that Africa was a primal, uncivilized world, right? That they didn't have really nothing going on and blah, blah, blah. And that white folks civilized. When I told you about Tarzan thing with the jungle and the Africans, right? That's what they did, right? So when we talk about Christianity, let's get there. Now, let's go. You ready? Let's go. When Christianity was brought to the world, I don't care whether it's Christianity, Jehovah's Witness, whatever, Pentecost, you always had a white man. It was a white God, white Jesus, blue eyes, right? White angels with European names, what have you, right? That's a Eurocentric, Western, white supremacist mindset. And these are characters out the Bible, right? Right? They say Abraham, right? And I know the Moors and everybody going to be fussing about what I'm about to say. They say Abraham was the first person to announce one God, right? And started the Hebrew nation afterwards. The Hebrew nation grew after. You know, I was wondering. And you know, they talked about Hebrews and Arab, what have you, and the fighting, your sisters and brothers, and what have you, inferior complex and whatnot. And, you know, a lot going on with chapter. What he was talking about in this book. You got to read the book. This book is like so big and so wow. But anyway, what African people said there was a one God 1,000 years or longer before Abraham was born. That's one contradiction. And the problem with the Bible, there's so much historical evidence that dispute what's in the Bible. And I'm not saying the old Hebrew texts haven't been often, they say it was the oldest book and what have you, right? But what I'm trying to say, even back then, with the original Hebrew text, even back then, you have to question how strong Rome was. And they was touching everything, right? They was touching everything in whitewashing. And they dumb it Africa down to nothing, right? What you think about the Hebrew text and what have you? Let me tell you something, another thing about the Bible online. They say Hebrew was a distant people in the Bible, right? But they never say they black people. They never talk about the greatness of Africa and the time periods, right? There'll be some data here and there, but it's like, it's shady and it's intentionally done that way, right? It's intentionally done that way. We got to understand, we go to read Genesis, Exodus, and it's numbers, and we just go through the Bible, right? We have to remember, and we got to see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard because we've been taught this. I mean, I did the Jehovah's Witness, Christian, Muslim, now Afrocentric, often Afro-spiritualism. But I had to go through them phases, right? Because Africa's a country, it's a religious country and a spiritual country. They called everything gods and whatnot. But there also was a country that finally recognized there was one God way before Abraham. But in the Bible, they got Hebrew being a distant people, right? And that left, they exited us from Egypt, right? And they made Egypt treat them so bad and so forth, so on, and to tell about dividing the sea with Moses and so forth, so on. Some people try to break it down in metaphors and what have you. Stop it. You can break it down all you want. It's written. And people talk about it and compare it and blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Long story short, why they couldn't just be black people that just wanted to go somewhere else, right? And I'm just giving it that, right? These black people want to be, why just couldn't be black people now? We as black people, we looking at it, or we interpret the black and woo, 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 but did not recognize us black. And then you come down to Jews, right? Race missing. You only see white Jews. You don't never see black Jews, right? That's intentional. But the problem is, you got black people, Hebrews, you got the Jews, you got the Arabs, all on practicing the same religion, right? That is completely whitewashed, right? And then when I heard Master J talking about angels and blah, blah, come on, man, that's fantasy. We really believe they got angels and, come on, no, bro. We are all gods, man. We are all gods. Why you saying that, Major? God gave us a mind and senses, right? God communicates in the ways that we don't understand. Some people are like, oh, they talk to him. I'm not talking about that. Nah, God, hear me. You might in a dream, you might see something and visit something. But I don't believe all that stuff he would be trying to say. I think they'd be exaggerating or whatever. But I don't want to even judge the situation. What I'm saying is, we have to understand that there are epiphanies and revelations every day in our life. Every day. We see people on drugs. We see people doing crime. We see politicians with that BS. We see preachers with that BS. We see people with that BS, right? These are revelations to say, well, that's not cool. And people say, well, you know, in the beginning, you don't know nothing. What have you? Don't. But how you learn? You bump your head, right? I don't care much you try to show our kid, they're going to still do what they want to do. But the problem is, we don't understand this. We feel like we have to subscribe to religion. We feel like we have to believe in something. If you read 40 Laws of Power, I forgot the power, but I'm going to have it flashing on it. That Robert Greene said you create a religion to make you believe in something, because everybody won't believe in something. And then do whatever you want them to do, and they'll follow you to that. Look at Jim Jones in Africa. Come on now. All them black people killed. Had them kill themselves drinking that poison. I don't get it. But don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking you, Christian, Muslim, Hebrew, Moors. I'm not knocking you. I'm saying, but you need to know the truth. And I'm going at Jay with this too. You propagated something from this book of a white man that believes in Christianity, a Eurocentric, white supremacy way of thinking, religion. And we trying to say, well, come out African, what have you. But it's been refurbished. It's not the same. If you read Chancellor Williams' Destruction of Black Civilization, if you read Dr. Diop, Origin of African Civilization, they explain to you about all this. They talk about, oh wait, in the Moors, y'all about to get mad. The Arabs partnered up with brotherhood with the Africans, and they ran Rome out, right? And created a dark age for Europe. But they turned around here and played it off like they came over and have sex with black women. They created a polygamy thing of having more than one woman in Africa, right? But they turned around and double-crossed us, right? And enslaved us. Took over our continent and air-washed it. We call it whitewash. We call it air-washed, right? But we still proud saying it because we teamed up with the Arabs. We ran Rome out with that. We got bamboozled. We got tricked. Even the great Malcolm and everybody, Elijah Mom and this, everybody, it's like, and people know this. Dr. Westermom, they know this. But I heard him in a debate and how he was trying to show all this stuff about Africa, whatever. And I'm like, it's showing how I come out African and blah, blah. I'm like, but still, you can't go to the Arabs. You can't go to the Jews. You can't go to whites and talk about what Arab for sure. That originated Africa and blah, blah. They would probably hang you or kill you. And you definitely can't tell the white folks that because they're not trying to hear it neither. So my whole point is, if you're going to subscribe to this man who's talking about angels, and you was talking about Al, you breaking all that down, come on, man. Stop it. A lot of these Christian universities, I went to New Orleans Baptist Seminary, and I could drop a dude down there that denounced Christianity. He was a minister, right? Got degrees. He said it was fake degrees, right? They said how you can find old Egyptian bodies, but you can't find Jesus' body. You can't find none 12 disciple bodies. You know, I'm just keeping it 100. We get this whitewash stuff, and we believe it. Not argue with people with it because it's like you citing these books, but these books are disputing that. And I'm about to show you that the book Christianity for Christ, they was talking about the Trinity 1,000 years ago, before there was even a Jesus. And I mean, we have to realize they took everything from us and they refurbished. Refurbished means they put a twist or two to it, fix it up, you heard me? Polish it up, try to make it as real as they can. All the while, you got white on it, Arab, Asian, or what have you. We don't see it, Moors, what have you. we gloat over the fact that, oh, we always in Europe, we always be Italy and what have you. But guess what? We wound up losing. We wound up working with them and enslaving other blacks and what have you. And then there's a big argument about it didn't happen, what have you. Admit the fact that only one I know that they all come from Africa, but they don't have the African mind. They have the Arab, the Asian, the European white mindset. They get into you as though they rubber stamp it and that's them. I don't think now, Grandma's just should have recommended this book at all. It was from a white man, from a Christian perspective, and as much as he denounced Christianity, everybody else should be talking about this book. Secondly, stop talking about angels falling in the sky and all that. Because if you're going to believe in that, you might well believe in Jesus. And I understand saying, yeah, and I see people in the comments, right? And I don't even know how to respond to it. Like I told somebody, I don't subscribe to that. You know what I'm saying? That is not me. You know what I'm saying? I want to be, I'm going to tell you something. And this is what I want you to know. Day tomorrow, they lay me down like the Egyptian, right? Day tomorrow, they lay me down on my hands like this in the coffin. I want to close my eyes forever, knowing my spirit going by my ancestors, knowing the truth. Jesus said the truth set you free, but I'm telling you about the Bible thing, and so I don't even say that. I'm going to say that truth brings the light. And it should comfort you. You know, you confronted the truth. You confronted the reality. See, the same way we confront racism, it's not just white. You're dealing with Arabs too. They're over there in Africa. You're dealing with 82 China is over there too. It's not just white. White people learned from Arabs and what they was doing. But we come from this country debating all in New York and all over, trying to debate about the Moors and the Muslim, what have you. These people was captives. I don't care how they rubber stamp history of fighting Europe and blah, blah, blah. They was under the control of another race, another group of people. And we just try to say they was all black, whatever. You can't get a lot of these people admit to that. Excuse me, a lot of these countries, races or whatever, meant to it. And we can't keep saying we pro-black and black and conscious, excuse me, I say black conscious, and subscribing to stuff like this. This white man, Patrick Heron, tried to scrape the fact. Listen, he tried to scrape the fact like most white people that wrote history. And I'm going to give a little more before I leave. Like most white people that wrote about Africa, he tried to discredit our greatness, saying we can build the pyramids and talk about the aliens and what have you. See, once he connected to the Bible, attendance should have went up with Grandmaster G with this, right? But we have to realize, we have to deprogram ourselves, decolonize ourselves. We are always, as conscious as I am, all the books, all the stuff I read, I'm still fighting off that Eurocentric way of thinking. That Western way of thinking. That white supremacist way of thinking. You know what I say about Neely Fuller, right? He said, if you understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything you begin to understand will confuse you. Again. And I'm about to drop some more juice. Again, if you understand white supremacy and how it works and what it is, if you begin to try to understand with confusion, white people call themselves an Arab, Christian, Jew, what have you, Muslim. Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. said this. And I didn't understand what he was saying 3 years ago when I was checking it out, right? On his radio internet channel, you know. But that makes a lot of sense. I thought about the mulattoes, the light skins, and what have you. And the game they play, and I read stuff, but I was like, this is how they, I'm like, because I ain't gonna have to debate with myself, like, man, I can't see them doing that. They don't believe that any black person have a little blood and white. You know, any black blood, they black. But that's not true. And there was a debate about it, and I gotta go check this book out, right? Because I remember somebody prophesizing that, right? But we have to understand that. So this white man who wrote this book about the Nephilims and the Great Pyramids of Egypt and Apocalypse, I gotta throw that in the trash can. I gotta get your money back. I'm gonna get my money back. I'm gonna tell Kim to give my money back, right? Yeah, they give you money back. Yeah, you know, you hold it for a year. You can bring it back after a year. I'm bringing it back because it was wasting my time. I've been reading about this and hearing about this all my life. We really think about angels. We really think about heaven and hell. We so messed up. And you know what's so crazy? Like I told you, white people the only one was able to keep all the writings and what have you, all the facts and blah, blah, blah. So we had to basically go to them and learn everything. And then we had to question it, right? And thanks to, I think, Dr. and Diop recognized a couple of whites who was real about what happened, right? Back in the day. And though all these brothers are deceased, I'm gonna keep their name high now. You know, y'all gonna hear their name a lot, you know, because they are really tremendously powerful black men, great black men that just challenged the power structure, not just in the United States. I mean, white supremacy, right? And shout out to Nilly Fuller. He's still he's still living around. He's old. He's still living around. And this brother just be dropping jewels. And I hope he's still living, because I be still trying to catch different stuff he might drop. But that's what I want to talk about. Grandmaster J, man, I love you. You know what I'm saying? Free Grandmaster J. Salute to everybody that's fighting for him. I pledge that we start donating every week. There's no more, you know, at least we can donate $5. Like, if we don't have, we can get $1 million from, you know, from blacks as a whole. We need to just try to do it ourselves. I love this brother. I think this brother mean well. But I have to keep it real, because if we talking about fighting racism and discrimination, we have to also fight what's been put out here. Remember what Carter G. Wilson said with the miseducation of the Negro. Everything black people was taught was a lie, right? We was given Christianity, right? With a blue-eyed devil and whatnot. And we was told to think and do a certain kind of way. And we got black people who, think and do, I'm rushing, I'm sorry. We was told to be submissive. We was told that the white man was our master. We was given the white Jesus, seen the white Jesus on the wall. We came out of slavery practicing the same religion. Guess what? It's 2020, we the same way. Black people in the church, I ain't saying all of them, because we got revolutionaries in there too. They really not going to talk about defending themselves. They're not going to talk about really coming together and fighting racism. And I'm not saying black church don't speak about stuff that's going on socially, politically, and racially with blacks. And I'm not going to say that they don't. I don't want to say that they don't say be home and what. I'm quite sure they speak about. I got police officers and stuff in the church. I just feel like, but the Afro's revolution, they'll be the first to try to talk you out, not, you know, go all the way if you're being mistreated or whatnot. And I just feel like, and I don't know if y'all got my point, because I know there's some die-hard people that believe in Islam, Christianity, the Moors, Hebrews, and trust me, I respect our religion because I want to be respected. I respect our religion and people, and I want to be respected, right? But if I see something that ain't right and I'm learning about it, I have to share. That's my job. If I offend anybody, I'm not apologizing. It's just what it's gonna be, right? And think what you want, believe what you want. I just want you to still stay black. If you can do that, that's on you. But I'm not scribing no religion. I'm not scribing to no white man, Arab, Asian, whomever, right? I don't care if it originated from Africa. If it's whitewash, Arab wash, Asian wash, I'm from Hinduism, Buddhism, what have you, and they put a twist to it, give it to me refurbished, I don't want it, because it's not authentic, right? That's just me. I can't speak for the next black person. But unfortunately, this book that Grandmaster J recommended is a nada, y'all. You know, don't subscribe to it. You got too many black authors, scholars, historians that's exposing all these lies and what have you, and especially about the Bible. So we're planning on doing it. But I have to drop these videos and stuff to y'all. So y'all check the videos out, and y'all give me some feedback. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification button. But check these videos out, and it's interesting, y'all. Remember, stay black.
I want to say something about why it is that I have to be talking to you about African history. The reason I'm talking to you about it is because it's not in the textbooks. And it's not in the textbooks because we don't write textbooks. We have other people write the textbooks, and they put that propaganda in there, and we are supposed to swallow it. Now, we are told that after the Greeks were taken over by the Romans and that civilization decayed, and then the Roman civilization went down after the fall of Rome, and you had a 500-year dark age, we were told that Christianity re-civilized Europe and produced modern civilization. And we know, if we read the literature, that these white Christians of Europe are the dumbest people that ever lived. They said that the earth was flat like a pancake out in the vastness of space, with the sun and the moon and all the stars going around it. The ancient Egyptians in the Pyramid Age 6,000 years ago knew that the world was round. They knew that it went around the sun in 365 1/4 days. And their astronomers measured the earth, and they knew what the polar diameter was. They knew what the equatorial diameter was. They measured the circumference of the earth, and they calculated it so accurately until modern astronomers said their error was only 1 yard. In other words, the circumference of the earth is about 25,000 miles, and they calculated it with an error of about this, 1 yard. So if you read history the way it happened and not the way other people wrote about it, you will find out that the black race created the civilization, civilized the white folks 2 times. So that you want to get some perspective on this. And the white folks took the religion of ancient Egypt, of Ethiopian Egypt, and balled it up completely. They'll tell you that if you get some of this cheap literature like the Jehovah's Witnesses people turn out. I remember seeing one of their quarterlies. God is sitting up on a golden throne in heaven. Blue eyes, blonde hair. Next to him is Jesus Christ, also with blue eyes and blonde hair. On the other side is the Holy Ghost, also white, and a bunch of angels in the background white. And a bunch of people kneeling on the ground worshiping this God, black and white. Underneath is hell with the devil black and all the imps black. So it looks as though since white people are not admitted into the Christian heaven, then we all going to wind up in hell. But I told my students they had nothing to worry about, because the only unpleasant thing about hell was the heat. It's too hot down there. But since, if you go there, you're going to stay a long time. And if you stay long enough, you get used to the heat. So that then it won't bother you anymore. And then I found out that the Africans were dragged into the slave trade because the white folks were too lazy to work and produce the things that they wanted. And they dragged us into slavery, converted us to their particular brand of Christianity. And the African had a much better religion over in Africa. That's what I call Christianity before Christ. He had a much better religion. The Christians tell you that there's a God sitting up on a throne in some place called heaven who created the whole universe, and he created the human race, and they turned out to be such a worthless bunch of people, and they had to have a flood drown out most of them to give the race a new start. And then this new bunch of people went to pot and finally had to send his only son down to be crucified to save these people. And that's what they call the Christian scheme of salvation. Now the Africans had a religion which was much better. In ancient Egypt, if you will see a copy of my new book called Christianity Before Christ, and there's a long section in there on the mysteries of Egypt. Those are the religious rites of the ancient Egyptians. And you will find out that these people, in other words, there are two types of religion in the world. Supernatural religions or theistic religions, and then you have natural religions or atheistic religions. A lot of people have an idea that if a man is an atheist, that is, if he doesn't believe in a personal God, he's an irreligious person. That's not true. The Africans had an atheistic type of religion, and they were a deeply religious people because they believed in that man not only has a body, but he also has a mind, soul, or spirit. And they took the position, for instance, if you went to a temple in ancient Egypt and told the priest that you wanted Horus, the Egyptian Christ, to save your soul, he would tell you not to waste his time. That Horus, Osiris, Isis, or nobody else is going to save your soul except you. In other words, they tell you this. They say, we believe in reincarnation. You have lived before. You've come back to the world. And if you want a better life, the next time you come back, you'll have to earn it yourself. The gods are not going to give it to you. And the Egyptians told these people, if you want a better life the next time you come back to the earth, you live a good life now, and then when you come back, you'll have a better life. But if you lead an evil life, the next time you come back, it'll be worse. So it's up to you. Yeah, so that they told people not to pray to gods or angels or anything to save them. It was their job to save themselves. And I think that's a better religion than asking some dead Jew to save you. Now, these people, they believed in spiritualism and they believed in theosophy. And the whole world, all the religions of the world can be traced back to this African source. And Christians say their religion is true, but paganism is false. And as I've told some preachers, Christianity was stolen from the pagans. So if paganism is false, so is Christianity. Now, you say to yourself, well, when the African, a member of anyone who believes in the African traditional religion, he tells you that he believes in God. But he doesn't believe in the type of God that the white folks believe in. The white folks believe that God is an oversized white man sitting on a throne somewhere up in a place called heaven. The African traditional religion teaches you that there's a large number of gods. You have tree gods, sun gods, moon gods, earth gods, star gods, and all like that. And since a group of colleges make up a university, then a group of the little gods make up the big god. So you take all the little gods and merge them together, and you get the great God, which is the universe itself. It never started, it never was created, and it'll never have an end. And so therefore they said that the great God is nature itself, the universe, and they believed in a doctrine of the Trinity. God is the physical universe. Christ is the mental universe. And matter and mind interact and produce life. So you get a trinity of matter, life, and mind. And that's it. And to show you how we have been badly miseducated and misled, one of my friends is a great black scholar, Professor Yosef Ben Yochanan of Cornell University. Some of you probably met Dr. Ben. Ben went into the Metropolitan Museum in New York, where they have a very fine Egyptian collection. And the young lady is sitting at the desk. "Sir, what can I do for you?" Dr. Ben says, "I would like to visit the African collection." The young lady says, "Sir, we do not have an African collection." And Dr. Ben says, "I meant to say the Egyptian collection." "Oh, yes, we have an Egyptian collection. But you know the ancient Egyptians were not white people. Now, the ancient Egyptians were, yes, we have an Egyptian collection, but the ancient Egyptians were not Africans." So Ben pulls a map out of his pocket, shoves it right in this girl's face. "Young lady, here's a map of Africa, and there's Egypt. Wouldn't you say that Egypt was in Africa?" She said, "I could say so." Ben says, "Do you say so?" She said, "No." Ben says, "Young lady, you are a jackass." The young lady became hysterical. She hollered for the manager. The manager came out and running and says, "What's the trouble?" "Mr. Manager, this man just called me a jackass." So the manager says, "What's the problem?" Ben told her the story that he was looking for the Egyptian collection, and this young lady said that the Egyptians were not Africans. And he says, "I have a map here, and here's Egypt, and Egypt is a part of Africa. Wouldn't you say so?" The man says, "Well, you could say so." "Do you?" "No." Ben says, "You also a jackass." So he said then he ducked out and got out of the vicinity because he was afraid they're going to call the police and put him in the jug for disorder.
Why we do not have the same respect for members of our race as we do for some other race, especially the white race. And that we were told, quite to the contrary, that we were from a land of savages, of cannibals. And except by the grace of God and the white man, we would have been a lost people. So we should be on our knees forever praying and thanking God that we were brought, even in slavery, to this land to escape the horrors of Africa. And this was brought in and drilled into us generation after generation.
Africa, the second largest continent, is an area of almost 12 million square miles in size. It is comprised of 50 independent countries and populated by over 537 million people who speak over 1,000 languages and dialects. For eons, Africa's wealth has been a magnet that has attracted the entire world. The continent has been plundered for its vast mineral and human resources. Traditional historians have viewed this land as one of primitive savages who slept through the millennia, contributing little to the cultural legacy of mankind. The facts, however, tell a different story. Scholars and scientists now concede that Africa is the birthplace of mankind. Africans were the first builders of civilization. They discovered mathematics, invented writing, developed sciences, engineering, medicine, religion, fine arts, and built the Great Pyramids, an architectural achievement which still baffles modern science. What caused the cradle of the world's oldest and greatest civilizations to crumble, leaving in its wake a people who are exploited, oppressed, and economically underprivileged? In a moment,
with you and to talk with you, you have written what many of us consider to be the definitive work about the culture of Africans throughout the world, and you approach it from the standpoint of the destruction of that civilization. Why did you choose the aspect of destruction rather than some other point of view?
The aspect of destruction was emphasized for the reason that it was quite clear that the black people in America seemed to be generally unaware that they had a history, that they were told that they had achieved nothing. They were told...
This man says the true facts are to be found in a more thorough and honest look at history. After Dr. Chancellor Williams, a native of Bennettsville, South Carolina, received his doctorate in history and sociology, he studied psychology, anthropology, archaeology, and economics. He also taught Arabic history and worked as a professor of history at Howard University for 29 years. He won an award from the Black Academy of Arts and Letters and was the first recipient of the 21st Century Foundation's Clarence L. Holt Prize for Excellence in Literature.
Now, of course, the record was there to show that much of Western civilization was built upon the foundation of the land where civilization itself had begun, and this was in Africa. Therefore, the focus had to be on Africa to see to what extent the recent revelations with the turn of the century, at the turn of the century, that Africa was the cradle of civilization. To what extent could this be actually verified? And so my work was directed in the uncovering much of what had been lost, much of what had been disguised, much of what had been stolen, refurbished, reworked, and presented to Western civilization as the work brought from Africa, but presented to Western civilization as the creation of Western man.
Dr. Chancellor Williams spent 16 years writing his book, and although a piece of extraordinary research, he considered it a greater miracle that he was able to get it published. Plagued by a chronic lack of funds and turned down by his academic associates and all other sources, Dr. Williams mortgaged his home. Then another obstacle arose. Due to his rapidly failing eyesight, he was forced to abandon his earlier plans for an expanded 3-volume work and had to settle for a condensed version of his research into a single volume, the book we now know as The Destruction of Black Civilization, Great Issues of a Race from 4500 BC to 2000 AD.
What did you find out about ancient African civilizations?
Well, to begin with, I found out that ancient African civilization was, first of all, the beginning of civilization. I found out that there could be no record found anywhere that antedates the advanced civilization of Africa. And this was the finding of European and other scholars. And they were now gradually admitting it, and when the evidence became overwhelming, the question arose, could Africans have achieved all this? Could Africans have achieved this remarkable work in architecture that could be traced back for thousands of years before Christ, before Western civilization had even started. Could Africans have done this? Could Africans have achieved this high advance in mathematics, in physics, in chemistry, in medicine, and so forth? I mean, many of the things we now glorify as modern. Take the Washington Monument, for example, which is an exact duplication of ancient African architecture, which is well known. And most of the columns we see on these stately columns on buildings, which the Greeks, in studying in Africa, are borrowed from the Africans, remodeled them at Doria, at Corinth, and so forth, gave these columns the name of the cities in which they remodeled them and gave them a Greek character. They really didn't do much changing. They merely removed the African acanthus leaf at the column and modified, but otherwise it was substantially the same as African.
Dr. Williams, were there ever laws and rules that governed the entire continent of Africa?
There were laws and rules that governed the entire continent in the same sense that you have the same system of laws and rules that which govern a whole people without the same time having a single government, a single state spreading over a whole continent, the second largest in the world. In other words, I'm saying that while Africa, in contradistinction to being a country, was the second largest continent on earth, and while the African people at one time in history occupied the whole continent, and while they were one people in their general culture, in their general religion, with certain modification, in their general social laws, in their general legal system, right on down the line, in almost every avenue you could find that there was this kinship. The only thing that they fundamentally different, or where they fundamentally differed, was where, of course, when they divided up and formed separate states, or withdrew, or to form separate societies, and developed different languages from the segmentation or separation from what had been a larger language group, so that there's no problem at all in understanding that you had one people occupying the continent without being under one single state.
Dr. Williams, based on your research of history, is it accurate that democracy was born in Greece?
No, democracy was not born in any one place. The record, as I indicate in this discussion on the chapter dealing with the African Constitution, birth of democracy, meaning birth of democracy in Africa, I made it quite clear that democracy was a system that was natural among the ancient peoples in all stages of development. Even the most primitive societies had their chiefs generally elected and the chiefs were generally subject to the will of the group. So it was nothing unusual about the head of the society being subject to the will of the tribe, which was one of the early forms of social organization. The family, the clan, the tribe, the nation, is the progressive step. So that in Africa, you will find that back from times immemorial, they had their own system of democracy. And it was this same system which could be found in every part of the African continent. The same fundamental laws, the same fundamental customs. No matter whether they were 5,000 miles apart, no matter whether the group had never come across the other group, they had the same system. That's why we know that we were dealing with substantially one people. So that democracy then was so long, so many thousands of years before Greece, that the mention of Greece in connection with where democracy began could only bring smiles to the face of any scholar who has really studied world history.
What were some of the specific African cultures, civilizations?
These civilizations, I refer to them, of course, generally as the great kingdoms and the great the empires that existed all over the continent of Africa. To the south, perhaps the greatest, at least one of the greatest, was the empire of Monomotapa, of which the present Zimbabwe is a part of what was once a much larger empire. And then, of course, those empires of Mali and of Ghana, ancient Ghana, and of Shanghai, and of the Marsi states. These countries had started in a period long before Christ was born. Ghana, for example, had over 400 kings listed before Christ was born. So that these were ancient empires. The most important thing here, though, to note about these empires and our last name is that all the people in America, all the blacks or Africans in America, came from this area of great nations, of a great educational system, where the greatest university of the time in which these slaves were being brought to America still was flourishing in its glory. That is, of course, the University of Sankore. The great civilizations in Nigeria, all of these were advanced cultures. So these people didn't come, as they were told and came to believe after they had lost memory of their homeland by the system of not allowing people of the same language group to be so